Yo, Mom. SSMS is back. Yes, sir. Hello, guys. I'm FaZe Amazon 6366, and today SSMS is back, and we are gonna watch some scary videos, and it's gonna be really fun because we all know that we love to watch some scary videos, and it's very fun. And I do SSMS again, and now it's gonna be for real. We're actually gonna do it since it's been like 2 months ago. Make sure to like and subscribe. I know you guys like to watch the scary videos, so you gotta get a subscriber to like and subscribe. By the way, let me show you all something. By the way, y'all, 60% of y'all aren't subscribed, so you gotta make sure you got the sub. And with all that being said, let's get into the video. Right, guys, the moment we all been waiting for. Let's watch the scary video. Alright, this is gonna be scary.
It was 15 years ago.
It's too loud, too loud.
When I was 11 years old, I used to live with my uncle, who was 31 years old at the time. He took me away from my family, telling them how great I would be if I stayed with him in his farmhouse.
Okay.
Well, he actually had a really nice farmhouse. However, that was totally fake. He also had a big van that he used to kidnap kids in.
What?
He usually abducted lost kids, or the kids who were playing in the parks. Yeah, right.
What do you mean?
He was such a serious kidnapper and murderer. While he was tying up the children after the kidnap, I didn't want to do that. I was just horrified and scared of my uncle. One day, I stayed with the kids inside the basement to monitor them. Crying, they were begging to let them go. I could see that some of the kids were almost the same age as my age, so I untied them and let them sneak out by the back door so my uncle couldn't see them. He was in the kitchen, sharpening his knives. I returned to the kitchen, acting like nothing happened, but somehow, when he lifted his head, he noticed through the window that they were running away. He got mad, grabbed his gun, and then he ran out the door, trying to shoot them.
Bro, what is that?
I immediately ran with him, watching them, and hoping that they could manage it. And all of the kids succeeded to run away, fortunately. I could see that one of them even waved to me to say goodbye. My uncle told me not to worry, and that he'd get more kids the next morning. It seemed like that he was thinking that I was the one who was disappointed about the kids' escape, or whatever. The next morning, I woke up and figured out that he was not there. And all of a sudden, I heard a loud siren, and soon after, the police entered inside the farmhouse. They found me and asked me if I was one of those kids who was kidnapped by him. I couldn't lie to him. I always felt sorry for lots of kids who got kidnapped by him. So I told them that I was his nephew, and they took me with them for questioning. I was crying so badly when I confessed the truth about him to the police. It was the hardest moment that I had to give proof of my uncle's serious crime, because I loved him anyway, whether he's a criminal or not.
Dude.
But I knew this day would come, and actually, I was waiting for it. They didn't believe me at first, but I revealed the location of the holes to them. After digging, the police found bodies under the ground. At that time, my uncle got back to my mother's house, hugged her, and begged to stay for a while. However, the police had already told her about the incident and what had happened to me. So she told him he could stay, but as soon as he got to the bathroom to shower, she alerted Dad and they called the police. My uncle was arrested finally, and the police thanked me and told me that I was such a brave kid. They brought me back to my parents.
Oh my God, bro.
Better life with them. My uncle was charged with kidnapping, murdering kids, and even showing me such terrible things that kids should not see. He was condemned to death, and not long after, finally hanged.
Bro, crazy, dude. What was that?
My name is Jonathan. I live in an average apartment. There are main roads via my apartment, but there's also a shortcut too, which makes it faster to go to one of my friends, Nick's house. However, the weird thing was that nobody uses the road. I didn't know until I saw something on it that very day. One day, I went to visit Nick as usual.
He's playing Fortnite.
We played some kinds of games together in his house, having snacks.
That's so
The
Fortnite.
outside had become dark, and when I looked at the time, it was almost 10 p.m. Then my mom called me to get back home as soon as possible. She seemed like she got mad, so I packed my stuff quickly. I got out of my friend's house,
Better
walked
go
for like
home.
2 minutes, and then I decided to walk through that shortcut lane this time. Because it was completely dark, it gave me a chill, but I was in a rush, so I lighted my phone's flash and walked through the road. It was a straight road, and all the leaves and bushes were on the two sides. And the next moment became the most terrible memory for my entire life. While I was walking alone, my phone's battery suddenly died. Holy crap, I mumbled to myself. But at that moment, I was so freaked out. I made my pace quicker when I heard someone's footsteps. When I looked up, there was a figure in front of me that was almost black and invisible. All lampposts in that road were broken except 2 of them. But those 2 lampposts were flickering continuously, and the figure was slowly walking closer to my side. When the light fell on his face, I could see him, full of scars on his face. He had a cut in his throat, and the blood is falling out of his cut. I tried to ask him if he needed any help, but then he put his hand on top of his head slowly, and he picked it up. I could see his head was dividing from his body, and he was just standing there, holding his head in one hand and looking straight into my eyes. I couldn't even move because I was so terrified at that moment. All of a sudden, his head was laughing loudly and gave a shriek loudly at the very next. I stepped back, and then he came in front of me again with big strides.
Run!
This time, I could see those 2 lampposts which were flickering above him all went out. And I don't remember anything after that. The next morning when I woke up, I was in a hospital. It turned out that some guy who was jogging around found me unconscious on that road. My mother was sitting next to me with an anxious look, so I told her my entire experience. When I finished telling her, she seemed a little surprised, and then she patted my back. She told me that there was a man who was murdered and beheaded by some gang members on that road a few years ago, but the police could neither find his head nor the criminal. Since then, lots of people saw the same stuff as me, so they stopped using that road. Even now, whenever I go to my home, I still ignore that frightening road and take another long path. It would always make my heart sink just thinking about that incident itself. My name is Alan, and this happened a year ago. I was at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport and about to check in, going to Dubai. I was standing in the line to check in when I noticed that someone was staring at me. It was a girl.
That girl looks
She seemed
weird.
like an ordinary girl at first, but then I noticed that her eyes were odd. They were open, very wide. She was smiling at me, but her smile was kind of annoying and crooked. I got creeped out, so after I was finished checking in, I quickly went through immigration and headed to the flight gates. Before going to the gates, I stopped at the restroom, and while I was urinating there, I could hear someone faintly whispering outside. I could tell that it was a girl's voice. When I finally walked outside, I encountered the same girl who I had met at the check-in line. She was just standing there. But then, I saw scissors in her pocket. I quickly pushed her, ran away, and hid from her for a while. 30 minutes later, I barely arrived at the gate. And guess who arrived at the gate? Right, the same girl was there again. She was literally stalking me the whole time. Right then, I was terrified. So when we started boarding, I made sure that I didn't make eye contact with her at all. Fortunately, my seat was apart from hers, so at least I felt a little relieved during the flight. But this story didn't end there. When I arrived in Dubai, I quickly got out of the airport and headed to the currency exchange counter. While I was exchanging my money, I looked around several times, but there was no sign of her anywhere. I quickly grabbed my money, but the moment I turned around, my heart dropped. The same girl whom I met at the airport was there. She was staring at me, holding scissors. But this time, she started twitching bizarrely. Her smile became bigger and even scarier, and she was walking toward me.
Dude,
Closer
run.
and closer. It was almost 2 a.m., and there was nobody else around in that area. I had no choice but to run, so I dashed quickly away and started searching for a taxi to get to the train station. Just then, I realized that the girl started to speed up to chase after me. Luckily, I narrowly found one taxi, and when I got in, it was a sigh of relief. When I glanced out the back window, the girl was standing there and was staring straight into my eyes.
Bro, what?
After 2 weeks, I went back to Manila. Of course, I didn't see her anymore after that night. However, the memory of that girl has been haunting me to this day. I haven't been able to forget her face.
Oh my god, bro. That's weird. That's so weird, guys. I don't know.
This is about a dream I had when I was in middle school. In my dream, I was standing in a huge empty space with other people, and I could see the dim light from afar. In fact, behind us, there were some strange people coming after us. They were chasing after us, walking on all fours, catching and eating people. Each person ran quickly towards the light. I was frightened by those strange beings chasing me from behind, but for some reason I couldn't move my legs to run. However, at one point, I suddenly realized it was a dream and felt at ease.
Exactly.
It's a dream. I was standing there, and at that moment, a man in his 30s who was running just stopped next to me. Are you dreaming too? The moment the man spoke to me, I got goosebumps. How could it be possible to meet another person in a dream? While we were standing still looking at each other, the people behind us suddenly attacked us. At that moment, I woke up screaming.
That's it? All this ads,
In my
bro.
whole 26 years of existence, I only have one dream that I vividly remember. It's about a nightmare that I had when I was
so that
in
story's
the 8th
done
grade.
already.
Although I can't remember the whole story, the last moment still gives me a chill to this day. So, I was being chased by someone on a mountain along with some other guy in this dream. I could feel how I was gasping for air and the pain on both of my legs. I was about to give up on running. However, all of a sudden, the man suddenly grabbed my shoulder and told me to run away and live. Furthermore, he already knew my name. That was the weirdest moment. As soon as he finished what he was saying, the man who was chasing after us appeared from behind and smashed his head in heavily. And that's when I woke up. Being afraid, I noticed that I had been bleeding on both sides of my nose when I woke up.
What?
It was about 5 a.m. I woke up my mom and talked about the dream. I know that it was just a dream, but I kept feeling uncomfortable. So I told my family to be careful. To my surprise, I heard that my uncle died the next day. He just died abruptly, even though he wasn't sick at all. At that moment, when I heard that from my dad, I got goosebumps. Well, of course, it's just a coincidence, but who knows?
Coincidence? I don't think so. That's the
This story is about the creepiest dream I've ever had.
Don't care.
In my dream, I was in middle school and inside of a classroom. All of a sudden, I noticed that my classmates were rambling on. They said that demons had invaded our school and that they could change into humans, like monsters from one of those Korean horror movies. Some of my friends were gathering around
That's
each other,
cap,
putting
boys.
their heads together to come up with a plan.
That's just cap.
They wanted to figure out a way to exorcise the demons.
Why would you want to exorcise a demon?
I was standing in the classroom with an anxious look on my face. However, the moment they suddenly knocked was the moment I realized that I was dreaming. Hey, isn't this a dream? It's just a dream. When I asked them while laughing, they all turned around and looked at me with empty eyes. And then I couldn't believe what I heard. You might be, but we are not. That was the last memory.
That's weird. That's weird.
A few years ago, my mom, my younger sister, and I went out for dinner at a local restaurant one night. As we were walking on the sidewalk,
Alright, boys, I'm back.
a man walking towards us from the opposite direction. Well, I can say that this was normal.
Look at her.
But
Look
there
at
was
how he
sort of
walked.
a creepy vibe about him. He looked like he was in his mid-50s. He was tall and had a dirty beard. He was also bald. Anyway, we
That's
walked inside
so
the
racist.
restaurant, and the waiter led us to a table. Then, a few minutes later, the same man from the sidewalk walked in and sat at a table close to ours, which was so uncomfortable. I thought this was weird, but when our meals came out, I just swept away any doubts about him. While we were eating, I noticed that he was staring at me the whole time. I tried to ignore
What happened
him.
here?
When my sister and I were almost finished eating, the waiter came up to us and said to my mom, "Ma'am, don't worry, your bill has been paid." My mom was confused and asked him what he meant, and he said that the man who was sitting next to our table had offered to pay the bill for us. Although this was a cheap restaurant, my mom refused the offer and explained that she was creeped out by that man. The waiter soon nodded and went to go get our bill. When he left, the man slowly walked towards us, opened a strange duffel bag he was carrying, and pulled out 2 stuffed animals. The shapes of the stuffed animals were totally crushed, and I didn't realize that it was an animal at first. It was the most disgusting thing that I've ever seen in my life. My heart started beating faster when he came
what the
over
heck?
to our table and gave the stuffed animals to me and my sister. Being a 5-year-old girl, my sister was going to say yes, but my mom and I both interrupted and refused. Then the man didn't say a word. He walked back to his table and sat down. After the waiter came back with our bill, my mom explained what just happened. The waiter said that the man paid for his meal, so it wasn't possible to kick him out. However, the waiter said that he would follow us out of the restaurant to make sure everything was okay. Later that night, when we came back
that little
home,
music,
I tried
kid.
to fall asleep, but it was hard to close my eyes because I was still feeling uncomfortable. I just laid there, and when I looked at the clock, it was around 2 a.m. All of a sudden, I heard someone walking outside my window.
Dude.
It was the fall season, so all the dead leaves would make loud crunching sounds whenever someone walked on them. At first, I assumed that it might have been some type of animal. However, I abruptly remembered the man from the restaurant and began to feel scared. The sound of footsteps was getting closer, and I shut my eyes as tight as I possibly could. Knock. Knock. I heard someone knock on my window 3 times. Slowly, I froze. I knew that it was a red flag and that I shouldn't open my eyes. But I opened my eyes cautiously. Then my heart dropped. The man at the restaurant was peeking through my window. With his glaring eyes.
Look at him,
his eyes
bro.
were fixed on me and looked me up and down.
Yo!
I couldn't scream at all. I just lay there, praying that it must be a dream. However, he didn't do any harm to me. He just stood there watching me and then walked away after a while. I didn't get any sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, I explained to my mom what happened yesterday, and she called the police right away. However, although the police searched all over the area, they couldn't find him. They didn't know who that creeper was or what he wanted, but I'll never forget that night.
Why, dude?
My name is Eric.
That actually scared
I'm
me,
31
bro.
years old, as well as a single dad living in a 1-story house with my son. named
Dude, that was
Alex.
kind of scary, to be
It
honest.
all started the night before Christmas, when Alex was 5 years old. Alex was so excited, so we decided to go for a walk around our town. We were walking down our road, listening to the sound of carolers in the distance. That led us all the way down to the main street. When we came face to face with the three old women singing, I took out my phone trying to record a story for my Instagram, just like other people around us.
Okay.
When I looked down, I saw my son covering his ears. I stopped recording, crouched down, and asked him what was wrong, but he didn't answer. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see the middle woman of the three carolers was giving my son an evil grin with a large, creepy smile. She seemed a little bit weird. Well, it was a chilly December night, so I decided we would head back anyway.
That's
when
weird.
we reached home, my son looked relieved. So I thought he just wanted to go watch TV and catch up on his episode he thought that he might miss. Later, as I was cooking in the kitchen, I took a glance at my son, and I could see that he looked absolutely terrified. He was sitting straight up on the couch, which faced the TV. There was a large window next to the couch that had the curtains slightly open. Then he sprinted up quickly, ran to me, and just hugged my leg. "Daddy, she's here," he told me with a shivering voice, and I replied, "Who?" He exclaimed back, "The middle woman we saw when we watched the caroling." I quickly looked at the window, and there really was that old lady we saw not too long ago. I closed my eyes for about 1 second, and when I opened my eyes again, she completely vanished.
Dude.
Being freaked out, I called 911 naturally, telling them about what had just happened. There were 3 cops that showed up, so I explained the incident to them again, and one of the cops showed me a photograph that looked kind of old to me. She was in there. Then she pointed to that old lady, asking if this was her, and I answered yes. She started laughing. My son looked confused until I asked why she was laughing. She stopped and gave us a kind of serious look this time, but was still smiling. Then she said, "Hey, you know what? I know this is weird, but this woman died 3 years ago, on this exact same day." My heart dropped. That's when my son looked terrified too. I tried to calm him down, but I couldn't believe what was going on.
Okay.
The other 2 cops came inside and said they found no trace of anything while searching. It made no sense. When the cops had left our house, I put my son into his bed and went to my room. I turned the light on my nightstand that was close to the side, grabbed my phone, and decided to check Instagram, thinking that if I could find anything, I would just call the cops back. I opened my story, and to my surprise, I couldn't find that old lady in there. I checked another story, and then checked another again. But in fact, it was just 2 women there singing. Feeling mixed emotions like scared, mad, and even more, stupid, I started checking some other people's stories from around my neighborhood.
What the
Still, she wasn't there. But all of a sudden,
what
I
the
realized something.
What?
When I was checking some story feeds, I ran into one story of some woman who was standing right next to me during the caroling. Where my son and I should have been standing was replaced by nothing. It was like we weren't even there from the beginning. I couldn't believe what I'd just seen. I put a hand over my mouth and couldn't say anything. That night, that Christmas day became the most terrible moment for us. Well, I'm 33 now, and my son is now 7 years old. But even if everybody thinks that it doesn't sound true at all, we both still remember it like it was yesterday.
This one is named Siren Head short film. So this is the only time on SSMS history on my YouTube channel that there was not an animated story. So let's watch this. Siren Head. Oh, Siren Head, it's real. Help me. Go, fake Siren Head. You're fake. Go. Woo. Why do people think Siren Head's real? What? Randomly, there's now a Siren Head. That's weird. Imagine someone found that. Wow. That's real blood, by the way. Oh, someone screamed. Someone screamed. That's so real blood, boys. Yo, what? What? The shoe. We found a random shoe. Oh no. What the heck? It's real, by the way. Why are you going after it? Why are you following? Why are you chasing it? Are you okay? Look at that, scary as heck. I can't with this guy, bro. Good job. Now Siren Head's gonna kill you because you went after him. How would someone think this is real? Look how real it looks. No! Run from Siren Head! Siren Head, why do you like killing people so much? Chill out, Ben.
Attention photographers. The deadline for the contest has been extended.
Yo! Look how fast he's running, dude. Oh my god. You're dead. Yep. Why, dude? Why? Why? Jump scares. What the heck?
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Making this short film was a lot of fun, and I'm gonna show you how we did it.
Oh wow.
We used VFX.
Good job, boys. That was incredible. Alright guys, this is gonna be like the last one we watch, so let's go.
My name is Samantha. I'm just a regular woman with a husband and 2 kids. I met my husband at the high school we both attended, and we got married after graduation. I got pregnant shortly after, and had to get a cesarean section during my delivery. Luckily, both babies and I are in good health. We have been living a happy life.
Nice.
However, something creepy happened to me a few days ago. Well, Kate became crazy. Kate was one of my best friends.
That's not good.
School, and I've always known her to be a nice, shy, and pretty quiet girl. A few weeks ago, we had our school reunion. I met my classmates again after about 10 years since graduation. Everything went fine, and we had a good time until Kate joined us. When she came in, she looked like she hadn't slept in several weeks and smelled really bad. Everyone just stood there, frozen, until Kate took out a knife from her pocket. Everyone screamed, and then she ran towards my direction. Samantha, you'll die for what you did to me.
What did she do?
All of a sudden, the police entered through the big glass sliding door and jumped on Kate. The chills hit me as she growled like a dog. Then the police said that she had some kind of mental problem and just escaped from a mental asylum a few hours ago. I had no idea what was wrong with her, and I was just wondering what had happened to her. And I felt really sorry for her because she had changed so much. A few days later, someone called me on my phone.
Okay.
It was an old lady claiming that she was a nurse at the local mental asylum. She wanted to talk to me about something related to Kate. Since I had nothing to do, I decided to visit the asylum.
Oh my god.
As soon as I got there, the old lady greeted me, and she guided me into a room divided by a window, like the meeting rooms in jails. On the other side, there she was, Kate. She was tied up to a chair. I could hear her continuously mumble. Then the old woman walked in and said, "She is here, sweetie." As Kate slowly looked up and into my eyes, she started to scream at me with wide open and bloody big eyes.
Bro.
"They are mine. You stole them. You must suffer for it."
What the?
I didn't understand what was happening. What was Kate talking about?
Yeah.
Then the old lady returned next to me and said, "Miss Samantha, you have a husband and 2 kids, right?"
Yeah.
I nodded. She sighed and then whispered, "Well, I have to say this. One of them is not yours." My heart sank as she continued. "You said that you had a cesarean section before, but half of your memory is not true. One boy is her kid. To be more specific, he's Kate and your husband's son. Just after she gave birth, she got a huge shock and threw her baby to the ground, which eventually made the workers in the hospital suspect that she was not stable. That's why she has been in this room since that very day, except for a few days ago, when she escaped to the reunion, back to the kids. Since Kate was locked in this place, your husband took the kid. He fooled you to believe that both are your kids.
Bro, what the
Kate
heck?
finally noticed that her baby was gone, so she escaped from you to find you and your husband." I just stood there in a state of shock, just staring at her empty eyes. My husband was a kind person, but now I finally realized that he lied to me and even cheated on me with my ex-best friend. I returned to my home, and since then, I haven't told anyone about this yet. Well, to be more specific, I couldn't. Both my kids still believe that I'm the real mom. If I reveal to my husband the fact that I know all of this, my family will be ruined. So, what should I do?
Guys, I deserve a like after that. Like, that was amazing, guys. Literally. I don't even know how to explain that. Like, what is this? Like, this was amazing. I actually got pretty creeped. I give it a 10 out of 10 today. Now, I just don't know, guys. Like, 10 out of 10, 100%. Literally, bro, that was the scariest thing ever. I don't even know how. Like, literally, what the heck? The guy. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.